We're going to learn how to solve any kind of second degree equation, otherwise known as quadratic equations. So we already introduced them. You know how do they look like, you know how to identify them. We already covered that. So something like 3x squared plus 5x minus 10 equals 2x squared minus 14. This equation is considered second degree equation or quadratic equation. Why? Because the largest exponent of the indeterminate or the unknown, the largest power of the unknown is 2. So it's second degree. Even though it has terms that they have the power of unknown is 1, but since the largest power is 2, it's considered second degree equation. So we are going to learn how to solve these equations or any other kind of second degree equations. We're going to offer a formula that you can solve all of them. So you have to follow this process. Step 1, follow these steps. In step 1, put all terms to one side of the equation. Bring everything to only one side of the equation so that the other side is just 0. Okay? So step 1, bring all terms to one side. Okay. We're going to demonstrate what that means. So we have two sides of equation, the left hand side, the right hand side. We can see there are two terms on the right hand side, 2x squared and minus 14. So we're going to bring these two to the left hand side so that everything is on the one side. How do we bring them to the left hand side? We can subtract both sides by 2x squared. So in step 1, basically, step 1 is broken down into several steps. I subtract both sides by 2x squared. And look what happens if I do that. So I have 3x squared plus 5x minus 10. That's the left hand side. So I subtract minus 2x squared. So I did that to the left hand side. Now I have to do the exact same to the right hand side. So 2x squared minus 14 minus 2x squared. So the benefit of that is that this 2x squared on the right hand side is eliminated because we have 2x squared minus 2x squared. So that gets eliminated. It came basically to the left hand side. Now, in the next step, we eliminate the leftover, the negative 14 that is still sitting on the right hand side. So we have negative 14 on the right hand side. How can we eliminate it? If we add 14 to both sides of the equation, negative 14 will be eliminated from the right hand side. So again, I write 3x squared plus 5x minus 10, and then I have a minus 2x squared from the previous step equals negative 14. Now I add, we forgot to add 14 to the left hand side. So positive 14 and then equals negative 14, and then also adding it to the right hand side. You have to remember, whatever you do to the left hand side, you do also to the right hand side to maintain the balance, to maintain the equation. So now the benefit of that, minus 14 plus 14, that gets cancelled. Now we got to a situation where on the right hand side I just have 0. So everything was moved to the left hand side. Now the right hand side is just one big 0. So step 1 is completed. Now let's see what next steps we have to take. So far we have this equation, 3x squared plus 5x minus 10 minus 2x squared plus 14 equals 0. That's our equation after taking step 1. Now step 2, combine terms. Combine terms. What does that mean? That means the terms that they can be combined together, combine them. So what terms can be combined together? Terms that are of the same nature. What do I mean? For example, 3x squared. So 3x squared is one term. Anything that is multiplied by any bunch of multiplications and divisions is considered a term. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So this plus here between 3x squared and 5x separates these two terms. You see? So 3x squared is one term, 5x is another term. The 10 here is another 10 minus 10. These are all three different types of terms. Why? Because in one of them, there is no unknown, right? In 10 minus 10, there's no unknown. In one of them, in 5x, there is an unknown with a power of 1. And in the 3x squared, there is unknown with a power of 2. So things of the same nature means if there is an unknown, it has to have the same power. So what else is of the same nature as 3x squared in this equation? There is minus 2x squared, right? So the power of the unknown has to be the same so that they be considered of the same nature so that you can combine them. So what else is of the same nature? We have a number negative 10 and positive 14. That's also a lone number, no unknowns. So these two are of the same nature and these two are of the same nature as well. They're like apples and oranges. If I tell you I have, for example, in this case, I have 3 apples. In here I have negative 2 apples, right? I subtract. I have 3 apples, subtract 2 apples from them. What do I left with? Just 1 apple, right? So I'm left with 3x. So 3x squared minus 2x squared, I'm left with just 1x squared. That's how it's done. Things of the same nature get combined together. So 5x that's the only of that type that we have. 5x, a number multiplied by the unknown to the power of 1. There's no other similar term so that we cannot combine it with anything else. And then minus 10 plus 14, easy. This is just adding numbers together. So subtracting actually. So minus 10 plus 14, that's like saying 14 minus 10. What is it? It's just 4. So the answer to that is plus 4 and then equal 0. So we basically combined terms on the left hand side of the equation. Anything that could be added together, things of the same nature, we did that. So we basically simplified our equation to this level. Great. Now let's see. We have this equation that has 3 terms on the left hand side. One is x squared. The other, so the power of the unknown is 2. Another term is 5x, so the power of unknown is 1. And then just a number, that is no unknown involved. So 3 terms. One, the power of unknown is 2. The other, the power of unknown is 1, and the other has no unknown in it, 3 terms. Always when you put everything, when you're solving second degree equations, if you put everything on one side of the equation and then you combine terms, always you're going to arrive at an equation that looks like this, that has maximally has 3 terms. It could have less, like 4 could be 0 or any other thing, but at max there are 3 terms. Okay, now in the last step you will see how we solve them. So far we have this equation. So we're gonna now describe the third step. So far we have arrived at x squared plus 5x plus 4 equals 0. Now we apply a formula for solving this equation. We have a formula for solving this equation. I'm going to write down that formula. The formula is very easy. Although it looks long, don't be scared of its length and size. So it says x, the answer to this equation, x, the unknown, equals this, minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. As I said, don't be scared. This, once I explain this, you will see how easy it is. We're going to describe what are a, b, c in this formula. What does it mean? So, as I said, any second degree equation, you bring all the terms to one side, and combined terms is going to look like something like this with maximally 3 terms. So the general form of second degree equations, when you put all terms on one side and combine terms, is always, it will look like a general form, a standard form. And that is like this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So a, b, c are just numbers. So for example, in our particular case, in our example here, you can see ax squared, a is 1. A is what is multiplied by the unknown to the power of 2. The factor that is multiplied to the unknown to the power of 2 is called a. B here, in our case, b is 5. And c is, you can tell, c is just the number alone with no unknown attached to it. C is 4. So now that you determined what is a, what is b, what is c, you just plug them in to this formula. So we're going to do that. X equals, I'm going to plug a, b, c into this formula. So x equals minus b, so that's negative 5, plus minus, I will explain what does plus minus mean. So plus minus square root of b squared, that is 5 to the power of 2, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4. Divided by, all of it divided by 2 times a, 2 times 1. A is 1. That's it. Now you just need to solve these numbers, simplify it, and you will have your answer. Okay, I'm going to write it here again. So x equals minus 5 plus minus square root of 5 to the power of 2. 5 times 5, that's 25. Minus 4 times 1 times 4. So 4 times 1, that's 4. 4 times 4, that's 16. So 25 minus 16, square root of that. And all of it divided by 2 times 1 is just 2. Great. Now simplifying more, equals minus 5 plus minus square root of. What is 25 minus 16? The answer is 9. So minus 5 plus minus square root of 9 divided by 2. Now we have to figure out what is the square root of 9. Square root is like the inverse of squaring. Like when we square a number, it means we multiply it by itself. When we take the square root, it means we have to figure out what number has to multiply by itself to equal that number. So we have to ask square root of 9. We have to ask what number multiplied by itself will be 9. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. So the answer is 3. So minus 5 plus minus 3 divided by 2. Square root of 9 is 3. So now we're going to explain what this plus minus thing mean here, right? This is where I told you in the one of the previous episodes that second degree equations, they could have two different answers. And this is where the two different answers come. Here they're showing. So one answer, so we can say x equals, in one answer, minus 5 plus 3 divided by 2. Which is, if you simplify it, minus 5 plus 3, that's just minus 2 over 2, which is minus 1. So that's one answer. The other answer, we take the negative. So minus 5 minus 3 divided by 2, which is minus 8 divided by 2 equals minus 4. So that's the other answer. One answer is minus 4, x equals minus 4. And the other answer is x equals minus 1. Two different answers. Okay. Where does this formula come from? That will be I will explain that in another episode. And exactly we'll show you how we derive this formula. Where does it come from? How people have invented it. But so for now, we just want to use it and solve these second degree equations. We just want to do that. Let's see another example. All right, so we have this equation, x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals minus x squared plus 2x and minus 1. We're going to solve this equation. So we have to take 3 steps. Remember, step 1, take all terms to the one side of the equation. Okay, so I'm going to take everything to the left side of the equation. So I have some stuff here that are cluttering things up, like these. I have to take care of them. So I have on the right hand side, I have my negative x squared. So to get rid of that, I'm going to add x squared to both sides of the equation. So I'm going to say plus x squared. So I'm going to do that to both sides. So I have x squared minus 2x plus 1. That's so far the left hand side. Now I add the x squared to the left hand side. I write the right hand side minus x squared plus 2x minus 1. Now I add also the positive x squared to the right hand side to maintain the balance. So this negative x squared and positive x squared, they cancel. Great. In the next step, I have plus 2x on the right hand side. So to get rid of that, I subtract both sides by 2x. That's it. So x squared minus 2x plus 1. Plus 1 plus x squared from before. Now minus 2x equals, now the right hand side is 2x minus 1 and minus 2x. Great, so this way I cancel the 2x on the right hand side as well. in the last step of step 1, the last part of step 1, I still have -1 on the right hand side. So I can add +1 to both sides of the equation to get rid of that. Let's do that. X squared minus 2x plus 1 plus x squared. Adding the +1 to the left hand side. Doing the same to the right hand side. Great. Now -1 plus 1 also 0. They cancel each other. So we arrived at an equation that all terms are on the left hand side, and to the right hand side we just have 0. That's what we wanted. That's step 1 completed. Step 2, combine terms. Combine terms of the same nature. Let's see what do we have here. So I said the power of unknown has to be the same so that they consider of the same nature. We have, let's figure it out. We have x squared here. Any other x squared? Yes, another x squared here. So combining them, 1x squared plus another x squared, that's 1 apple plus another apple, that's 2 apple. So 2x squared. Great. Let's see what other things of the same nature we have. We have -2x and, oops, I forgot to bring this -2x from the previous step here, you see. That's it. So we have -2x and also this -2x. -2x minus 2x, that's like saying -2 minus 2, that's -4. -4x. And then lastly we have numbers +1, another +1. These are terms of the same nature. So +1 plus 1, that's +2. Nice. So we ended up at this equation. We combine terms. As you see, again, I have 3 terms here. One term with the unknown to the power of 2. One term with the unknown to the power of 1. And one just lone number. And the other hand side of the equation is 0. Now time for step 3. Step 3, we just apply the formula. What's the formula? If you write it down a couple of times on your scratch paper, you're going to memorize it easily. So I'm going to write down the formula here. X equals minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So we have to figure out what are a, b, c. Let's see. So a is the factor multiplied by the unknown to the power of 2, which is in here. A is 2x squared. So the 2 multiplied by x squared. A is 2. What is b? Can you figure out what is b? If you want, pause the video. B is what is the factor multiplied by unknown to the power of 1. What is multiplied by the unknown to the power of 1? -4. -4 is multiplied by the unknown to the power of 1. And lastly, the c is the lone number is +2. So A, B, C are figured out. Now we go at substituting them into the formula. So minus b, that is -4, right? The formula says minus b. So minus b is -4. -4. Be careful about that. I'm going to wipe this out for now. Plus minus square root of b squared, so -4 to the power of 2. I'm going to move these guys or wipe them down for now. Okay. -4 to the power of 2, and then minus 4 times a. We said a is 2, b is -4, and c is 2 as well. So minus 4 times a, which is 2, and c, which is also 2. Square root of all that, divided by 2 times a. A is 2 again. Great. Let's simplify this further. So minus 4, that's negative times negative, that's positive. So positive 4 plus minus square root of minus 4 to the power of 2, that is minus 4 times minus 4, negative times negative is positive. So 4 times 4, that's 16, minus 4 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2, that's 4. So 4 times 4, that's 16. Divided by 2 times 2 at the bottom, that's 4, 2. So you see the square root of 16 minus 16 is just the square root of 0. Square root of 0 is 0 because 0 times 0 equals 0. So x equals 4 plus minus 0. So I don't need to write that. Just plus minus 0. That's the same. 4 divided by 4, and that's equals 1. So in here we have only one answer. Only one answer. So I told you in the one of the previous episodes, second degree equations, they could have two different answers. They could have only one answer. This is the case where there's only one answer. And that happened when under the square root we got 0. Okay, let's see another example. Look at this equation. We have x squared plus x minus 2 equals 2x squared minus x plus 1. So again, following the steps. Step 1, put all terms on one side. And this time let's do them all at once. So there is this 2x squared on the right hand side, and then there is minus x, and then there is this plus 1 that we have to eliminate them all and bring them to the left hand side. So we know that if I subtract both sides by 2x squared, that's going to happen. That's going to get eliminated on the right hand side. If I add x to both sides, the minus x is going to get eliminated from the right hand side. And if I subtract minus 1 from both sides, also the plus 1 on the right hand side is going to get eliminated. So I'm going to copy the left hand side here, x squared plus x minus 2, and then subtracting 2x squared, adding the x, and subtracting 1, and that will result on the right hand side being 0. Now step 2, combine terms. Things of the same nature, combine. The unknown to the power of 2, we have x squared, we have negative 2x squared. So when they combine, they result in negative x squared. Unknown to the power of 1, we have positive x and then another positive x. So plus x, that's plus 2x. Lastly, negative 2 and negative 1, they don't have any unknown multiplied by them. They're just numbers of the same nature. Negative 2, negative 1, that's negative 3 equals 0. Nice. So we combined all terms. We got our equation into the standard format. What is the standard format? Look at this. A x squared plus b x plus c equals 0. So in step 3, where we have to apply the formula, from this equation we figure out our ABCs. So the formula is, again, I'm going to write it minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So from here we know that A is -1, B is +2, and C is -3. Nice. Now we substitute them into the formula. So -b, -2, plus minus square root of b squared, 2 squared, 2 to the power of 2, that is 2 times 2, that's 4, minus 4 times a, which is -1, times c, which is -3, square root of that, over 2 times a, 2 times -1. Simplifying this, -2 plus minus 4 minus 4 times -1 times -3. -1 times -3, that's +3. Divided by 2 times -1, that's -2. Okay, further simplifying this, -2 plus minus square root of 4 minus 4 times 3, that's 12, divided by -2. Simplifying it further, -2 plus minus, what is 4 minus 12? That's -8 over -2. So we have square root of -8. Is it possible to solve that? Can you put that into your calculator? What is it going to give you? Your calculator is going to give you an error. Why? Because there's no number that can get multiplied by itself and it will result in a negative number. So even if you have two negative numbers, right, -2 times -2, you're going to get +4 because negative times negative is positive. And if I have positive numbers like 2 times 2, the result is also positive. So never ever, when you multiply a number by itself, in other words, when you raise a number to the power of 2, or when you square a number, never the result is going to be negative. So that's why in this case, when under the square root here, you have a negative number, there's no real solution. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions.